welcome back. My name's Diana. This is my channel Bookish Di, and today I am talking about my Read Our Unhaul books for 2022. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I do tend to bring in a lot of books, and unfortunately that means I run out of room on my shelves unless I break down and buy another shelf. But I'm trying not to do that anymore, or limit the number of shelves that I have. So anyway, I decided for 2022, looking at my books, I have some books I've actually that have traveled around with me through multiple moves and that I've had for over 5 years, or like some sent for 5 years at this point. And I haven't read them. And so I decided that I would do this video as a little bit of an accountability check, but to create a list of books that by the end of the year, I'm hoping to either have read or unhauled. So my goal with this video is just to talk about why I might have picked it up, and then again, do some accountability. Some of these books are in series. So for that, I'm going to say, having started the series, we'll save the books from being unhauled at the end of the year. But yeah, let's get started. First book on this Read Our Unhaul list is Cameron Hurley, The Stars Are Legion. I had initially ordered this. This came out in 2017, so I got it when I was living in Canada. And I had initially bought it because she had to, taglined it as lesbians in space on a generation ship, and it sounded interesting. But I had read her nonfiction collection, The Geek Feminist Revolution, and enjoyed it. But this one I've heard has more body horror, so I've been kind of like on that because I'm not a huge body horror person. But the cover is really nice, and like I said, I do enjoy Hurley's nonfiction, so hopefully this year will be the year I finally read this. But we will see. Next on my Read Our Unhaul list is the start of a series. So this is the first 3 books in James S.A. Corey's The Expanse series. So I've had these books since I lived in DC, and I moved away from DC 5.5 years ago. So I've had these for a really long time. And I actually did read Leviathan Wakes, I want to say in 2015. And I remember it being fine. There was some timeline stuff that I was like, on. So I never got around to reading Caliban's War, but I've heard really great things about this series, and it's always been on my read list. So what I think I might do is I think I might check out the audiobook for Leviathan Wakes, and then my goal for this is I do want to at least read Caliban's War, and that will be my kind of determination about whether I either continue with Abaddon's Gate or unhaul these books, because the thing is, these books are at the library, so I don't necessarily need to have them on my shelves for access. So like I said, I'm just gonna kind of wait, and I'm gonna again try to reread this and definitely read this before I make my decision. And the next 2 are start of a series, and they are these big chunk and huge fantasy books. So they are the first 2 books in the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. So The Grace of Kings, which I think I've had, when were you published? So I've had this one since 2015. And then I had picked this one, Wall of Storms, up when I was living in Canada because it was on the remainder shelf at Chapters, which is their big bookstore. So I've had these 2 books for a long time, and they've made it through a couple of moves. And again, these are ones I do want to read. And I was talking to Rhea about this book in the last stitch, and she said that the format of this is a little odd, but it makes a lot more sense when you get to Wall of Storms. So I would like to at least try and read The Grace of Kings before I make my decision about whether to unhaul, because the 3rd book just came out and the 4th book is coming out later this year, so we will see. But these have to go on the list because they take up so much room on my shelves, because they are big. This one, Grace of Kings, is over 600 pages. And then The Wall of Storms is over 800 pages. So these are big ass books. So these are also on the list. Next is another book that has made the trip from DC to here, and that is House of Shattered Wings by Aliette de Bodard. So I have read Fireheart Tiger, which I enjoyed, but I haven't really read too much from this author, and I picked this up because it sounded interesting. So this was published in 2015, and it's set in an alternate universe Paris, and there are fallen angels and dragons, and again, I had picked this up. I just hadn't unhauled it. So I would like to try and read this book. I think if I do buy the other ones, I might just switch to the UK editions because the American editions are harder to get hold of because they only published an American edition for the second book, but not the third book. Anyway, but that's getting ahead of myself. I would like to at least try to read this book before the end of the year. The next two are actually trying to finish a series. So these are Armistice and Amnesty by Laura Elena Donnelly. So I had read Amberlow 2017, I believe. And I remember liking it well enough, although the marketing was incredibly misleading about the tone of the book. And that is part of my incredibly long list of beefs I have with Tor.com or Tor marketing. But I had picked these two up and I've meant to read them for a while, but I haven't. So I think these are going on the list just because, along with Amberlow, if I decide to unhaul these, I might as well just unhaul the set. Just because the series is almost always on sale on ebook if I do want to pick it up. But I've heard kind of mixed things about Amnesty. But they're pretty, which is why I didn't unhaul them in my last go around. But I would like to try and finish this series this year. And if not, then they're probably going to my local used bookstore. Next is another book that I picked up in Canada, and that is Anger is a Gift by Mark Oshiro. So I have followed Mark's writing since they were doing Mark Watches and Mark Reads, and this was their first book. And so I had picked it up because I had heard them read an early sample back when this book was still like a science fiction-esque book, some samples, and it sounded interesting, but the book since changed and evolved, and it's now contemporary YA. So I don't read a lot of contemporary YA. If I'm reading YA, it tends to be YA fantasy, which is kind of why this is on the list, just because this is one of the only contemporary YAs that I own. So I will try and read this year, just to see how I like it. But again, if not, it will probably get unhauled. Kitty break. Anyway, the next book on this unhaul list is actually one that I've bought since I've moved to the Pacific Northwest, and that is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pal Preto. So this follows two sisters, one of whom disguises herself as a boy to train as a phoenix rider. And I'm gonna be honest, I only bought this for the cover. I haven't actually heard too many people talking about it, but the cover was very pretty and I was feeling a little weird, and so I bought it. But I don't know how I will feel about this, just because, yeah, like I said, I haven't heard too many people talking about it, so I don't know. So again, this is going on the list. We'll see what happens here. Then the last two books that I have on my reader unhaul is a duology, and that is The Girl from Everywhere and The Ship Beyond Time by Heidi Hellig. I had picked these up because my sister had listened to this audiobook and really liked it, and I thought the cover was really interesting, and I had picked this one up before I was trying to be better about not picking up sequels where I haven't read the first book. So yeah, these have been on my shelf. When was this one published? This has been on my shelf since 2016, so it's been a while. So that is why these two are on my reader unhaul list. I think what I'll do is I'll try and read at least the first book and make my decision based on if I'm gonna unhaul or not. So that's my reader unhaul list for 2022. There are a lot of books. not even bother counting. There's like over 10 books on this list, so we will see how it goes. Like I said, because some of them are series, I'm going to give myself some grace in terms of I don't have to read all of the books or both of the books, but I do need to at least read the first book in the series before making my decision. So do you have thoughts on any of these books marked for Read or Unhaul? Please let me know in the comments below. Do you think Leia is incredibly cute? Please let her know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you like what you see, please subscribe. Bye.